Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome to the show. This is the Millennial Millionaire podcast, and I am your host, Stephen Cohen. This podcast is focused on bringing some of the wisest minds from across the globe to discuss concepts, strategies, and ideals that will lead them to be top performers in their respective industries and their lives. This show is for the millennials and millennials at heart to transcend their mindset, their health, and their income to the next level. We are so excited to have you on this journey with us. Welcome to the show. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the show. Today, super excited for our special guest. We have the one and only Mr. Mikey Lucas. Mikey Lucas has been in the sustainable energy business development and marketing across several business sectors for over a decade. As an entrepreneur, he started multiple eight-figure companies, including a commercial solar company, has consulted over 200 companies in his career in the space. His entrepreneurial background spans multiple industries, including renewable energy, real estate, cryptocurrency, and technology. He currently leads the strategic planning and business development efforts for the American Energy Fund. He's an awesome newly husband, an awesome leader, and a good friend of mine as well. So welcome to the show, man.
Stephen, thanks for having me.
Of course, bro. I know it's a Sunday. We typically don't do these on Sundays, so appreciate you making time. And I know you're in town for a few days, so we wanted to knock it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, brother. So for those that don't know who you are, give a quick little brief background about who you are, what you're about, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, so Mikey Lucas, born and raised in Las Vegas. Come from a big family, family of four. That's now a family of, I think, 5 or 6. And I growing up, and then we got married in a couple more brothers. And yeah, dude, I played. I'm a 3-sport athlete. I got cut for my senior year of baseball. I thought I was going to go pro. I played ball, around guys like Bryce Harper, Chris Bryant, Joey Gallo, Johnny Fields, which these guys, Roman Easter, guys that Aaron Blair, guys that played professional ball. I got cut my senior year, got dumped my senior year or my freshman year of college from my high school sweetheart girl. I thought I was gonna marry, and I realized that it was I really had 2 choices. I can go and be the industry Vegas kid, or I can go and do what all of my great uncles had done, and they're all superpreneurs, all multimillionaires, made major impact. And I decided to get around the right people. Originally got into multi-level marketing, got around people that were about personal development, self-mastery, and obviously got recruited into door-to-door in 2012, 2013. Started knocking doors, got my teeth kicked in. I sucked. Yeah. I was terrible. I was really bad.
Aren't we all?
But I knew that I was like, okay, if these kids that really wouldn't be even starting, they wouldn't even be on the practice squad in high school. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just a couple months behind these guys, so I just did what they told me to do, and here I am today.
Let's go, man. It's so interesting because we went to similar high schools. You went to Centennial, I went to Cimarron. We have some mutual friends. We didn't really know each other in high school, and it wasn't until solar that our paths crossed, and other industries actually. And me and you both have mutual friends, and we know people from high school growing up in Vegas that, to your point, when you said you had 2 decisions, you can either essentially conform and go the route of the industry or go get a normal 9-to-5 like a lot of people do, which there's nothing wrong with that depending on their goals. But you chose entrepreneurship, and through that decision, got exposed to multiple different industries, and now, a big part of who you are today. Where do you think that comes from? Do you think entrepreneur spirit is something you're born with, or is that something that is created along your journey?
That's a great question. I've heard both answers both ways. I think how it worked out for me was my parents were not, I wouldn't say failed entrepreneurs. My mom's a successful entrepreneur as a real estate agent. My dad was a failed entrepreneur, had a restaurant in San Diego, and it shut down. But his uncles, so my dad's mom's older brothers, all were entrepreneurial. My mom's dad was not entrepreneurial, but my mom's dad's brothers were all business owners. So I don't want to say that I was born with it necessarily, but I definitely was exposed to it. I'd go to my uncle's shops in New York and the hardware stores, and then hear about them losing their store because Home Depot came in, kind of thing. And, hear about the boats that the tuna boats my other uncles own in San Diego. So I don't want to say I was born with it, but I was definitely exposed to it. And I don't know, dude. I think it was just down to I had nothing to lose. So I was a fighter, man. I got that dog. So.
Amen, man. We both started in network marketing and then transitioned to direct sales, door to door. What do you think that you learned in those two industries, or maybe even network marketing, in terms of maybe mindset, skill set, that you feel like has equated to some of the success you have right now?
Oh, dude. I would say guys that are less talented than me, or the guys that you that are listening to this, guys or girls that are listening to this. The thing is that those people that were there that I saw initially that were winning were not as good as I was. And I obviously at the time I wasn't good at all, but I was like, these guys aren't really that good. They just stayed consistent, and it was just an action thing. And they just didn't quit. And I see that it's a big problem in entrepreneurs, 20 and 30-year-olds, millennials, and we just quit too soon. I don't know why. I'm like, you don't take on the responsibility of like being able to pay for your mom's medical bills if that ever comes up. What about, sending your kids to the, the best schools that they can be around, other parents that are very highly successful. Maybe you might be the smallest fish in a big ocean, but at the very least, that's that. So yeah, I don't know if I was born with it or not, but that's that.
Yeah, man. It's interesting that you say that, because I had a conversation with a buddy, a sales rep of mine, who may or may not be listening when this comes out, but he's gone through some trials and tribulations. He's been in solar for a really long time, in door to door, but hasn't really had the results consistently that I feel like he deserves and that he believes he deserves. And I was wondering, we had a conversation, and I feel like his big thing, and I think this is the same for most people, and you touched on this, is they don't put themselves in situations in order to feel the pressure to really go out there and perform. For me, I always had a lot of inspiration and a lot of inner fire. I didn't necessarily need anyone to hold me accountable to the things that I wanted to over my career, because I always put myself in situations where, I was helping my parents, or I was helping this, or I put myself in a do or die situation. Therefore, typically you're going to do. And I feel like a lot of people, they don't put themselves in a situation to really see what they're made of. Therefore, they end up quitting or drifting. Do you agree with that? Or why do you, what is that missing component for most people when they quit on something that could give them a big upside long-term?
Honestly, I think it's just clarity. I think what's really come down to it is clarity. Again, it's honestly, it's a pretty simple formula. I think that what you put in, garbage in, millionaire out. What? Garbage in, billionaire out? Steven, that's not how that works.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. So that's my opinion. I would say that, it comes down to, every entrepreneur you've ever interviewed on your show, I've seen it, has always said that they've struggled with, self-doubt, self-pity. Like, we've all struggled with that, but where are you going? And there's a quote that I have on my mirror, and it's one of the best quotes I hold near and dear to, is that my direction determines my destination. Most people really, that's why the coaching business is such a, it's $1 trillion business or whatever, right? It's like so much money in it, whether it's personal finance, personal training, whatever, right? Marriage coaching, all of that, solar sales coaching, is because all we do as leaders is point to the better future for them. And as long as you can point to the better future for them, they can at least see it. It's almost like we have to like peel back the layers of the onion for a lot of these our people. And as a leader, you should be doing that. And if you're not doing that, then you're failing your people.
Agreed. When you're coming up, I have so many people on the show that, they talk about, I had this mentor, I had that mentor. And one of the most asked questions I get are, how do you freaking find a mentor? Sure. It's not like you can go ask a gazillionaire to take them out to lunch and they're going to say yes, because chances are they're too busy and they're going to charge you more than you can probably afford. When it came to you cutting your teeth in the industry and starting to create some success, how did you find mentors, or did you not have a mentor and you just kind of figured it out on your way?
I'm going to give you the easiest way to do this. So if you're listening, listen up. I had no money. I'm talking $0, negative. But what I did have was enough money to pay for my, at that time, T-Mobile bill. And I went on YouTube and I would watch Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, and I would study these things, man. I stopped listening to Lil Wayne. I stopped listening to Drake. I stopped listening to, I actually liked them, Backstreet Boys, and I started listening to those guys. So there is no excuse anymore. If you want to lose weight, if you want to gain weight, you want a bigger chest, you want whatever, you want better abs, 6-pack abs, you want money. Brother, it's not. I have almost no sympathy. I have empathy for people. There's no sympathy anymore. I don't, because the key there is like what Tony Robbins always said to us was that, you have to become resourceful. So brother, it is a matter of going on YouTube and just studying these things. But the hard thing is that we are so addicted to, I ain't got no job, but I'm still fly. Got a quarter tank of gas in my new E-Class. Like we're so addicted to like bumping music in our car, and it's I turned my car into a classroom. I heard I forget where it was, but I was in 2015 and realized that the average person drives the equivalent to I believe it's an associate's degree in 2 years, or it might have been a bachelor degree in 2 years, and I'm like the average. I'm like, shucks, I just did my insurance, and I'm like, I'm about to drive 30,000, so that's like almost more than double. I'm like, I'll get a doctorate in about 3 years if I just turn my car into a classroom. Sure, is it, as exciting? No, but at the end of the day, I was like, what do I want? So free, $15. Like YouTube has free books. Like go look at Rich Dad Poor Dad on YouTube, and it's there. And speed it up. You can even speed it, and then. Ideally, you pay $10 a month to YouTube for YouTube Premium, and you get away from the ads. That's your first mentor. It's investing in yourself, $10 a month to YouTube ads.
YouTube University, Audible Academy. Man, you're speaking my language, because it blows my mind. I mean, we've been in the industry for over a decade, whether you want to call network marketing, direct sales, and we've probably worked with, trained, coached, been mentored by, associated with thousands of people, young people for the most part, some older, some young, but people that want to get away from the status quo and that want bigger and better things for their life. And they choose this vehicle as the vehicle to get there. But as you know, Mikey, I would say 70, 80% of the people that show up day one aren't there a year or 2 or 3 years later. And I think you hit it on the head, man. It's because they're not developing. They're not obsessed with improvement. They're not going out there to work on themselves, because ultimately, wherever you go, you bring yourself with you. So your biggest asset in life, as we all know, is yourself. But most people aren't intentionally investing in themselves. Why do you think that is? I know you're a type of guy that spend, tens of, potentially even $100,000s of dollars on masterminds, trainings, courses. Why do you think the average person who wants success, or at least says they want success, can't get out of their own way to invest in their self-education?
For the record, I spent over $100,000 a year in personal development, mastermind groups like that, and courses and coaching. The last 3 years I've done that, and before it was like at least 60 grand a year. And then the first one was 30 grand a year, which was Thrive Connect with Cole Hatter. The reason why I upped that was because I started seeing a return just by proximity alone. Why people don't, to answer your question, Stephen, why don't people do that? It's because, again, garbage in, billionaire out. They have this idea that what got me here is going to get me there to the next level. And it's incorrect. You have to be transformed. You have to be renewed. You cannot conform to the old ways of your lifestyle if you want to have a different lifestyle. And I'm not talking Bugattis and freaking baller jets. I'm talking like paying for, your brother can't do this or that or whatever. Your mother needs help with her medical bills. And I say that a lot, but it's true. It's like most of the guys in the solar industry can't pay. If their mom got sick, their dad got sick, or their brother or sister got sick, they can't pay for the medical treatment. They got to try to, go through whatever. So
get in advance.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So they had advance. Oh my Lord. And they haven't put any doors on they haven't put any doors in their door knocking app for like 2 weeks. Can I get an advance? Oh Lord. Don't get me started with that. No, I think the main reason why, brother, is just that, I think people, they just have a hard time with self-pity, self-hate. We got like the way I look at it, or the way I've studied it is now, the way I look at it now is that we got out of the 70s, the peace, love, like hippie generation. And in this, like, love who you are, kind of like you be you, and you being you is actually leading our generation, the men and women, 20 and 30-year-olds, to destruction. It's a slippery slope, and it's very, very, very hard to live that you do you lifestyle. I mean, it's very complicated. I don't push my beliefs on people. I'm obviously Christian. I talk about that all the time. But as far as like, who you want to marry, dude, whatever, bro. You want to do that, go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to judge people for who they are. That's why people think like, oh, Mike uses whatever. But, Stephen, it's self-hate, man. People just don't accept the fact that they can be someone that can make a difference because they're living in regret. They're living in shame and guilt. of something. And, I've been sober now for a little over 11 years from synthetic heroin. I was taking 600 milligrams of Oxycontin a day at my peak. And the pills that I was using and used with other people have died, which means they lost their sons, they lost their daughters. That weight, Stephen, was the hardest weight to ever get through. It wasn't getting over it. I had to go through that thing. That was very complicated. But most people, again, are living in guilt and shame, and that's why they can't get over they can't get to the next level as far as their personal success. But then also at the same time, they can't get to just loving who they are and being present. And then not only that, they, again, back to the clarity thing, they are doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it so they can have the jet, so that then it's an acceptance thing. Men want to be respected, women want to be loved, generally speaking. And, men want to be respected. They think you'll be respected when I show up in the cool Tesla or the cool Rolls Royce or the cool, private jet. Like, those are all fine and dandy, but that's a byproduct of who you are. So Jim Rohn says, it's not what you get, it's who you become.
100%, man. And I agree with you. And, I'll touch on this point, after being in the personal development space for over a decade and studying a lot of the people that you studied, and just seeing people who I started with who either became successful or not successful. And success means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But every single person that I've studied, admired, have a relationship with, who I respect, they've gone through some type of big trial and tribulation. And a lot of times they use that as the turning point in their life to stop being victim, to stop having self-pity, a lot of the things that you've spoken about, because I agree. And they use that as the catapult to create their new life. For me, it was the same thing. You get to a decision where you're in a situation where you either are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you either choose one way or choose the other way. And that moment and that choice can change the trajectory of your life. Now, I think when people don't put themselves in a situation long enough to get to that moment, to really have the ability to choose, or maybe it's just a desire thing. Maybe they just don't want it bad enough, or they, to your point, want the bad things. I'm not sure what it is, but it frustrates me when I see so many people with so much potential out there, but they're not willing to do the small, little micro decisions day in and day out that will lead to the ultimate result of them becoming a better person, which will attract them the best result.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Mikey, you've run a successful podcast. You've been doing it for longer than I've been doing it. You were an inspiration to me to start a podcast. It's all about direct sales, door to door, a road to the golden door. So you've been able to interview, spend time with, super successful people, top 1% of at least the door to door direct sales, specifically solar space. What are some attributes that you see interviewing all these people that you think are applicable to the average person out there trying to get to that level?
I actually write that down. So it's one of the things on my notes. I write that down, what attributes I'm trying to, the goal really was, I don't know, I'll do something with it. I'll probably write a book on it, or some sort of a workbook or something, or course or whatever, right? Or just use it for content. I'm going to do something with it. But basically the goal when I was running a solar company was I wanted to figure out how to create a self-sustainable Golden Door award-winning sales professional. So a self-sustainable Golden Door award-winning sales pro, how do you do that? So you it's almost like when you have NBA or NHL 2K or whatever, like the 2K games, right? You can build your own character and you have only certain amount of credits, right? Let's say you have I haven't played first of all, I never really got to play in the first place. My brothers always played, but I watched them. And being the youngest boy of the group, I watched them. It's like, let's say you got 1,000 points, right? You can only give, to speed, athleticism, your arm, whatever, you're batting. Let's say it's baseball, you're batting, and you can only give so much of that. So unless you have the cheat code, because then you can give 1,000 to, or
Game Shark.
Yeah, exactly, 100 to all of them. Dude, Game Shark, bro, back in the day, wow. Oh man, but no. So how do you build that self-sustainable Golden Door award-winning sales rep, that sales professional? The attributes that I see a lot of, which for the men out there, when you have children, one of the cool things I've noticed is that over 45% of them have been wrestlers. A good chunk of them were Mormon missionaries. They served time with serving their church or their God, whatever, right? And that was those are like things that I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting. Not that there's not a large chunk that are not, but then it was these guys that were able to focus on the small actions. Oh, another thing was that I really noticed recently was almost every single one of them mentioned the book Atomic Habits. Like the last 10 or 15 of them are reading the book Atomic Habits right now. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I've read it like 10, 15 times now, but
Great book.
I'm like, yeah, it's like, okay, cool. Like,
Shout out James Clear.
Yeah, for real. And a lot of these guys like study that book and they were quoting that book. And I don't know, maybe that was a thing they like prepared beforehand. I don't really send notes out before to let them get prepared, but that, and then do they just do the little things over time? I asked them about, what was their motivation? What were their hurdles? Their struggles they went through. I bring them back to the year, and most of them got into a rut, wanted to quit mid-year or whenever the part of the year was, whether it's quarter 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever. They all wanted to quit. They're just like me and you. And I really built the platform for other Golden Door Award winners, other top 1%ers. And so that they can see, hey, look, I'm not the only one, because at the top it's very lonely, as you know that. It's very lonely. And I built it specifically for other Golden Door Award winners, top 1%ers in the industry. And so they read a lot. They're very disciplined. Not all of them had like the same routine every day. Some of them had routines, some of them didn't. So it was like 50-50. Like, you didn't have to have what the gurus on the internet tell you to do. You have to have this like, built out Sunday planning every single day, goals. And some of them did. And it was cool to learn that, what they did. Some of them didn't. I think most of them didn't have that. But what they were about, most of them were about, was that they had a consistency of what they ate when they went to bed. The top ones, so they had a consistency. They ate the same thing every single day or every single week, whatever. They all were in the gym. Over 90% of them were in the gym. They all had some level of like either like coaching or mentorship. Every single one of them had somebody that they were competing with. It was like a running mate. They all had a running mate. And then I guess the last one there is, they're just regular people, dude. They are just regular people that some of them are rookies, some of them are vets. The ones that hit multiple years in a row, you're just like, these guys are just waking up and doing the same thing. Like, Ashton Buswell says it. He says, the show that's reached the most views. He said, don't let the highs be too high and don't let the lows be too low. And, these guys, they anticipate. They anticipate cancels. They anticipate things going wrong, and they don't get knocked off. They don't get too emotional about it. They just know, I just got to go hit the numbers. Again, they just reverse engineer it. I'm going to hit 200 deals this year, and they just reverse engineered how it was going to work, and they just stuck to the plan.
Yeah. I really like what you said there at the end. Stoicism. Stoicism is something that I've brought into my practices and philosophies over the last 2 to 3 years. Because looking back at my own life in terms of success, right? Because I think it's important to take audit and figure out what's working, what's not working, what things are serving me, what things aren't. And self-awareness allows you to also be a good leader and help other people. Because most of the time when you see someone who's super successful, if they're not super intentional or if they're not reflecting that often, they're unconscious on how they get there. So when they try and teach someone else how they've got there, they aren't giving the best support as they could, because they don't truly know how they got there, because it's more unconscious. So when you can break that down, I think it's really, really important. And stoicism for me is something that served me massively. And, I think when it comes to success, and I wouldn't even call this just in direct sales or door to door, but I think in life and business, the most successful people are the people that have full control, maybe not full control, but have the most control over their emotions. Because as we all know, there's going to be peaks and valleys. There's going to be, winters and summer. There's going to be great times and bad times. But the people that don't dwell in the valleys the longest are typically the ones that will get the next at-bat quicker. And I think that's a trained skill set. And I think your attitude and your emotional intelligence and your focus and what you allow yourself to get down all highly correlate to how successful an individual is, especially in a high emotional industry like sales and door to door.
Yeah.
When it comes to investing, Mikey, because I know you're a big investment guy, 4 or 5 years ago, we talked about it, which is crazy. It seems so long. Especially in our industry of direct sales and door-to-door, why do you think more high successful solar people specifically aren't financially literate, and why aren't they doing the things to get there?
I think the root of the problem is how they were recruited, and then leadership. How they were recruited in. They were recruited in, come make a bunch of money, and then their leadership. They're following sheep. sheep following other sheep, and they're leading them to the slaughter, and they're walking right off a cliff. And it's really unfortunate, brother. I was really pissed off the other day. I posted on Instagram, and I was like, dude, I'm freaking sick of this lie. This is BS. Where's the solar millionaires at? Where are they at? Please raise your hand. Where are you at? Who's the guys that made the millions and kept it? You're obviously one of them. I'm one of them as well. But like, there's just few of us. You know, there's definitely less than 50 that I know of. And I'm like, where are these guys all at? Why everyone's making all this money? Where's it at? So I think the root cause is leadership. I think it's like the law of the picture. Monkey see, monkey do. If your leader is not investing in creating generational wealth, mitigating these taxes, understanding what trusts are, investing like a billionaire, not like a millionaire, then they're going to do the same thing. And they're encouraging them to go buy cars that are way out of budget so that they can, I guess,
recruit more.
Yeah, recruit more or whatever. It's like, I don't know. I mean, you've obviously had really nice cars. I've had nice cars in my career as well. And, the cars are really cool, but what's cooler is $30,000 a month of passive income right now. That's what I got. What's cool is putting up panels on an orphanage, on a women's shelter, on a refugee center. That to me is what's really cool. So again, these guys are how they're recruited, the leadership, monkey see, monkey do, the law of the picture, and they don't know why they're doing it. They're doing it because it's like very short-sighted goals. I want the American dream. I want to get a 3,000 square foot house, white picket fence, 2.5 kids, dog named Charlie, and get married. And then like, there's nothing after that. So it's really the leaders that are doing the worst job ever. And it's really pisses me off. And they think that they're like, they think that they're great because they can make their guys, $250,000, $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year. Some guys $1 million a year. And you're like, you just cut a check for $400,000 to the government. That's winning? To me, that's not winning.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with you, man. I think it's one of the biggest challenges young people face, not just our industry, but young people, because there's not enough long-term thinking. There's not enough financial literacy out there. Sure, you have your financial advisors and they do the best they can. But for me, I heard this and it really resonated with me. I think there's 4 different types of motivation, and I'm curious if you agree or if you would challenge one of them. The first one is survival. People are motivated at first, and I know I can definitely relate. You start a new job, you start a new industry, you start a new career, let's call it solar, and you're motivated by survival, right? You got to pay the bills. You need to take care of the people that take care of you. You need the basic necessities. We've all been in a situation where we have that commission breath, or we're desperate and we need to go and out there and perform. Hopefully most people get out of that stage, especially in America. There's not as much of that with all the opportunity we have. And then most people fall into the second motivation. And unfortunately they stay there for too long, which is monetary. Now they're motivated by a new car, a new house, a new watch, nicer lifestyle, nicer dinners, more travel. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, to your point, but that can't be your motivation forever. There needs to be a certain point. For me, after I made $100,000 in a year, I quickly realized $100,000 isn't going to change my life. It's not going to allow me to retire. It's not going to allow me to support my parents. So I had to quickly shift from, hey, I want a new car, a new house, to financial freedom, which is, I believe, the third motivation, which is where I'm at right now. Now I'm motivated by passive income. I'm motivated by investments. What fires me up now is, hey, I need X amount of capital to deploy into this investment that will create X amount of recurring income, which will allow me to get closer to my freedom number, which is ultimately should be everyone's goal, right? Because no one gets into sales to get by. They do it to get ahead. And the only way to get ahead is to make yourself take care of yourself so well that once solar, sales, or whatever industry you're done with is over, you're in a much better situation and you can, whatever that new opportunity is, you're going to be able to get to. So third, and then the fourth one, I think, is legacy or impact, right? It's the 8, 9, 10-figure earners, right? The Ed Miletts, the Grant Cardones, all these people who have more money than they know what to do with, but they're still out there hustling like they're broke and they have, no money in the bank. And that's because they're pulled and driven by a higher force, which is legacy, to create something that's going to surpass long after they're gone. And I think most people get stuck on that second motivation, which is monetary, especially in our industry. And unless you're able to shift out of that, you're going to continue to be in the rat race. And I would agree with you, man. I think most leaders want their salespeople broke because, of course, they're not going to teach them financial literacy, because when they have more money in the bank, chances are they're going to be less motivated to go out there and work, which is keeping your people hungry in a non-great way, which will go out there and have them produce more.
Yeah, it's sick. Why do they do that? It's limiting your people, and they think that that's going to work. How is that working for you, bud?
Yeah,
it's not. Clearly, I mean, it's not. No, I agree with all those.
100%.
I don't disagree with any of them. I think most people stick in the between 1 and 2. You know, survival to monetary. I mean, you can only. I mean, we talk about retiring and financial freedom all the time, you know, but you know, you could really. Like I was telling you earlier, I was like, just had my honeymoon. Like, you can only really stay in, you know, vacation mode for so long. And if you ask any billionaire, they'll tell you the exact same thing. You know, you're gonna eventually going to destroy yourself. You either drink yourself off a cliff, take too much drugs and die, or, you know, end up, you know, saying some dumb crap to your wife, and because you're drunk, because it's, you know, you're on 15-day binger because you can't. You have no responsibility. It's like, men, we are designed to work. I don't think we should, in theory, retire. But having choices, having financial freedom, having choices really is what I think most millennials want. And again, I think it's great. Again, I don't think traveling, I don't think things are inherently evil, but I think what is happening is that people are being controlled by the things instead of controlling the things. So they're being controlled by, and that's where it becomes the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money. Money is just a great tool, man. Money's an awesome tool. You know, they call you to build the orphanage. You know, why? Because you got money. You know, they don't call you to come and build it. They call you to finance it.
Yeah.
Why? Because you have the money. You're in that different stage of your life.
100%, man. I agree with you. Mikey, as long as I've known you, man, you've always been a very driven individual. You've always had a lot of stuff going on, always looking for that next thing, always looking to level up, and always extremely focused, extremely disciplined, and going after your goals and dreams. Where does that come from? Where does the drive and the inspiration come from, and how do people get more of that?
Missed 2 mortgage payments. Steven, I missed 2 mortgage payments in 2018. I was embarrassed. I actually technically would have missed 3. I had to borrow money from a guy named Danny and a brother of mine. And yeah, I missed 2 mortgage payments. That I don't know what else is going to motivate you. Where did that come from? I mean, obviously there's more than that, but to get that initial spark, I missed 2 mortgage payments, bro. I don't never want to feel that ever again. It's like going back to jail. I'm never going back, bro. That stuff stinks, bro. Never going back. I'm not never going back. I'm good. I'm not going to put myself in a situation ever again to even get remotely close to that. It's not a line. I don't toe the gray line. No, like, I'm just different direction. That's the direction of jail or prison. That's the direction of missing mortgage payments, missing car payments. This is the direction of lifestyle choices and freedom and impact. Missed 2 mortgage payments.
Do you leverage fear for motivation?
Depends on what you mean. What kind of fear are you talking about?
Like, for me, you know, from what it sounds like, sometimes you have to touch the hot stove to know that you don't want to do that again. So in my career, I've always leveraged fear or knowing where I don't want to go to keep me focused and aligned on where I do want to go. And sometimes, you know, the whole positive thinking, which I believe a lot, doesn't support this, but sometimes I have to think about worst case scenarios in my life if I feel like I'm going into some type of complacency in order to remind myself why I'm doing this in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think there's like levels of motivation. So there's like, you know, you have your AA battery, you have your car battery, you have your Tesla battery, and then you have like, you know, your what does Tesla call it? The power pack. You know, the one that can power a whole building kind of thing, targets, right? You know, that level of motivation. I think the fear, I think what you're trying to say, and so I want people to understand this, is that I think what you're saying is the fear of public humiliation, which is ultimately like what, if you can call a spade what it is, a spade, it's really public humiliation, right? If you put out that you're going to go out and, you know, become a billionaire and put up all these solar panels on orphanages all over the United States and all over the world, I don't want to have to come back and, sleep with, I didn't do that. So yeah, there's definitely a leverage of fear there for sure. 100%. Is it the thing that really gets me going? No, it's the thing it's one of the many things that keeps me going. Like one of the many things. Another thing I would just be really quick on, I talk about this a lot, is what kept me sober in the first 3 years, because that was the hardest time, was my ex-girlfriend's, that girl, parents, very successful CEO of this major transportation company. And I knew that the mom said that, said to my ex-girlfriend that, he's just going to be just like his dad when he grows up. And then she relayed that to me, not that her mom said that, but it was clear that she didn't think that, but she was being influenced to say that. And so now I have this fear of, see, we told you. See, Susie, I told you we were right about Mikey. And I'm talking when I'm 40, 50, 60, that will still be there. And I think people need to leverage that. So yeah, I fear them being right about me, for sure. It's not the thing that gets me going, or even keeps me going, but it's an element, it's a potion, it's a formula that gets me there. And recently I just put on my wall, I just moved apartments, and I wrote on a sticky note on my third screen, it says, "They really want you to fail, Mikey. They really want you to fail." So when I'm tired and I don't want to go to the gym, I don't want to do those extra calls, I don't want to build out whatever, don't forget they want you to fail. That's why I love going to events, because I'm seeing all the guys that want me to fail. I'm like, they really want you to go sleep on the couch and catch up on YouTube and go watch the Vegas Golden Knights replays 10 times. They want you to chill, Mikey. They want you to win. They want you to lose. Sorry.
I love that, man. That chip on the shoulder mentality is important. It's important to continue to have that fire and that drive, because as you continue to evolve in your career and your business, new levels, new devils. And a lot of times once you get to a level where, you're comfortable, or you don't have to worry about paying the bills, or you've maybe hit some of your old whys or reasons for doing this in the first place, if you don't continue to evolve those reasons and evolve those whys, and maybe some of them are a little bit more, positive than others, but having an arsenal of reasons that evolve as you evolve are so important. Or that's why people max out their income. That's when people make $200,000, $300,000 a year. Maybe they plateau because they stopped doing the thing, or they stopped having the desire that got them to that place in the first place. And to go from 60K to 200K is a lot different to go from 200K to 500K or 500K to $1 million. And you have to keep developing these new reasons and continuing to find these new things to pull you forward. So thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
I feel like you're a really good networker. You know a lot of people that I know, but it just seems like you're always in different circles. You always have a lot going on. You always know this person that knows this person. Why is networking so valuable? And are there any tips that you can share to help people become a better networker?
Best thing I was ever told, paying, I would say this would be $30,000 advice, is when you're in a group, whether it's your company, your office, or you're in a mastermind, or even in your family, your goal should be to deposit more than you withdraw. And I think it's a shame that we have taken this book, this great, awesome, phenomenal book of how to win friends and influence people, and we have now turned it from how do we mentor people to now how do we leverage people, and that pisses me off, Steven. And people don't realize, they're unconscious, or however you say it. My wife tells me I don't say it correctly. I don't know what the word. It's subconscious, unconscious, whatever. They don't know that they're doing it, but they're doing it with the wrong motive, which again goes back to the clarity thing. They're in this thing for the wrong reasons. You're in this because you think the Ferrari is going to make you feel better about yourself, because it's all about respect. No, so the $30,000 advice is deposit more than you withdraw, and also ask the questions, because I can almost guarantee you that most people in that office, most people in that room are actually thinking the same thing. They just won't ask, because there is no stupid question. I mean, in retrospect, but most people be vulnerable. You got to be vulnerable. You got to be like, hey man, what do you like? Oh, investing in real estate. The last big one that I did was, this is a real estate mastermind, mostly real estate mastermind. And I asked Mikey Taylor, and he was there. It was a Cole Hatter's mastermind, and he like said, hey, gave the fire, bro, how to do this, all this, how to invest in real estate, everything. And I was like, hey man, because at the end he was like, yeah, I'll stick around, blah, blah. I was like, hey man, if you want to stick around, can you break that down for us? Like, I was like, I have deals that I can show you, because I get deals thrown at my desk all the time. I was like, I got the exact deal. I got multiple deals. He's like, yeah, I can actually do that. And it was like the best takeaway for everybody. And I'm like, I didn't end up buying that one property, but still, I was like, you got to ask questions. So just understand that there really is no stupid question. And then I would say the third thing, or whatever the fourth thing is, third or fourth, whatever I'm at now, is I didn't ask Dan Fleischman, Cody Sperber, Cole Hatter, Ryan Stewman, Ed Milet, Andy Frisella. I didn't ask them how to make more money. I asked them, how do you create synthetic struggle for your kids? How do you be a top performer and still have a thriving relationship with your wife? How do you do that? Because statistically speaking, it's like 50% of people, marriages end in divorce. It's like over 80% in entrepreneurship. So I asked them, hey, what are you doing? And again, some of them have successful marriages. Some of them have been married a few times. And I go, cool, man, you can learn. My dad's been married 3 times. And I can learn a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do, brother. And so I don't ask them really, how do I make more money? Because I know how to make more money. It's or how to, maybe asking them like SOPs or whatever, stuff like that, like how to build culture and recruit and whatever. But really, what got Mikey Lucas respect in those groups is I care more about, hey man, I'm married now, or I'm about to get married now. And they care more about family rather than like Mikey with the cool cars and the cool vacations, whatever.
That is some sound advice, my friend. I really like that, because I think they all bleed into each other. Yeah, everyone wants to make more money, but by doing that, one, you're probably going to ask them a question they haven't heard before, so that's going to stick with them. And two, really, all the life stuff typically bleeds into all the business stuff. I heard a great quote. It says, you're not struggling in business, you're struggling in life, and that life struggle is affecting your business. So, and really, as long as you can get your life right, typically your business is a reflection of how everything is going. So when it does come to work-life balance, because this is a question that I get asked a lot, and I'm sure you do as well, where is the balance? Is balance a thing? Is balance not a thing? I have my own philosophy on it, but you're a newly husband. You're not a dad yet, but I know it's probably something you want to do in the future. What does that work-life balance look like? How are you still effective in business while also catering to your relationships and your personal life?
Stephen, it is so important for me to track how much time I'm fighting with my wife, how much time I'm spending quality time with my wife, how much time I'm hanging out with family and friends with my wife, how much time we're doing spiritual time with my wife, how much time I'm dream building with my wife. I track about 8 things individually with my wife to a micro action. Hanging out on the phone, quality time, fighting, dogs, spiritual time, dream building, family and friends, hanging out with her. If it's important to you, Stephen, you'll track it. You can't manage anything that you're not tracking. So over the last, I think it's been 4 years now, I've tracked over 70% of what I've done in my waking hours. Last year was 86%. 86%. It was like 85 something. I know what I did in the 16 hours that I was up to a micro action. And if it's important to you, you'll track it. For instance, for you, tracking how much time you're spending with your top 20%. Why? Because I think is it Pareto's principle? It's 80%, 20% of the sales leaders are going to do 80% of the work. So you should be spending 80% of your time on the top 20%. And a lot of guys, it's like, I'm like this guru now. I'm like, no, you just implement the things that the gurus told you to do. And that's how it works. But practically speaking, how do you do it in solar? Okay, cool. Well, you do Pareto's principle and spend 80% of the time on the top guys. So Stephen, it's all about, if you care about it, you'll track it. And if you don't, then, you won't. And nobody signed up and said, I can't wait to get a divorce. I'm so excited. Same thing in school. I can't wait to get all Fs. I actually learned from Eric Thomas. He goes, nobody went to started college and said, I can't wait to get all Fs. It's the same thing in marriage. Nobody signed up and said, I can't wait to get a divorce. I'm so excited to have to split up the whole family and to freaking ruin life for like 5 years or whatever it's going to, or I can't wait to have to shut this damn office down because I'm going to be a crappy leader. It's like nobody did that, but they're not tracking the things that actually make them successful. And yeah, I think that's the nugget, Stephen.
That's powerful, man. When it comes to tracking, how do your routines affect your day, and what specific routines do you have to stay efficient, stay alert, stay present, and make sure you're maximizing, because I know how meticulous you are. And I feel like the only way someone could be as high as a performer and as efficient is if obviously they're tracking and making sure their calendar is stacked effectively, but also certain things to make sure their batteries are charged to make sure they're showing up in the best way.
Yeah. So again, having clarity on what you want. So what kind of a marriage do you want? Do you want to date your wife once a week, twice a week, once a month? What's actually going to work for you? What did you sign up for? So having clarity on that. And right now I've changed it quite a few times because I'm just learning and adapting, and it's a really fun journey. But I now break my days into 3 days. I used to break it into 2 days. I now break them into 3 days. Do what Ed Milet taught me is you break it, you have your morning, you win your morning, and then you have your midday, and then you have your late afternoon, evening. And it's kind of 4 days because oftentimes it's not really a day, it's more like a shift, because I'll have, when Ryan gets off of work at 7, I'll do my very best if I can to crank all the way to 7 o'clock and then start to wind down, clean the house, make sure the house is all just minor things, like she wants the cushions up, like she cares about those things. So I'll go, if the dogs ran around or whatever, I'll put the cushions back up on the couch, whatever, make sure the dishes, my shaker bottle 7 in one day or clean or in the dishwasher, whatever, little minor things. So I try to be as present as I possibly can. But yeah, I mean, again, these top performers, like the gurus on the internet, Steven, they talk about, have this, just crazy structure. It's like, dude, just lower the bar of expectation and just try something. Use apps, you can use Streaks, Habits, A Tracker, and just track something. Jim Rohn, or I think it was Jim Rohn. No, it was Darren Hardy in Compound Effect, said to have a notebook with you and track something for 7 days. Whether that's where every dollar you're spending goes so that you can become aware of it, what everything you put in your mouth goes so you can become aware of it. I think people just, again, they don't have any clarity on what's actually happening. Yeah. So yeah, my focus and core values in my company is efficient, effective, and productive. That's one of them. How to become more efficient, effective, and productive. And if we're not making things more efficient, effective, and productive, we're not. First of all, we're not failing enough, and two, we can't reach the people we want to reach if we're not as efficient, effective, and productive. It's the big three in my business.
I love that, man. How do you break an employee mindset? Because as you're speaking here right now, you are someone who takes full ownership over their accountability, over their life, over their marriage, over their business. And in order to do that, you can't be at the effect of other people. You have to be the cause of that to create that effect. And I feel like so many people out there are so conditioned as an employee, from growing up in elementary school to high school and being conditioned by a bell when you could go to the bathroom, when you can eat, and then you go into college, and then you go into the workforce, and there's more conditioning, and then they try and go start a business, or they try and get into direct sales, or they try to do something that's a little untraditional, and they fail because they can't do those 3 principles that you just talked about. What's some things to help break that?
A leader needs to be able to pour into them. You need to have somebody that you can go work for, that can pour into you and tell you, Steven, how much potential you have, how much impact you're going to make in this world, like how much of a great father you're going to be, how much of a great husband you're going to be. You need that in your life. You need people like that. If you're not, you need to go make less money at another company and get around people that actually see the positive in you. You need to be around that. It's not about the money, brother, because again, once you get there, you're going to lose all the money, because at that point, it's alone. Again, I already told you, it's a lonely road on top, brother. Lonely up here. You need to be around people that can actually see that in you. How do you break the employee mindset? I don't know, dude. I'm an employee. I am an employee. I treat myself like an employee. I think it's good for you. I think it's actually great for you. I don't think you should break that, so I actually disagree. I treat myself like an employee because I want to do the easy things, and I'm accountable to my business and businesses and all of my employees, people, right, team, to make sure that I show up for that, 80 hours a week. And if I show up for the 8 hours a week, I clock in and clock out, I am an employee. So when I'm on, I'm on. When I'm doing that job, I am an employee, Steven. I treat myself just like anything else. And I pay myself a W-2 wage actually as well, because I want to make it feel like I just got to do the work. Just get back to work. So I don't know. I think you need to be an employee actually. Because at the end of the day, it's like we're all our own boss. And if you don't have discipline to work 40 hours or 80 hours like we do, 100 hours like you do, you're going to work 20. And then you're going to make 150 grand. You're like, I made it. It's like, no, you suck. You did not make it. You just spent all of that.
It's facts. Man's out here spitting facts. Mikey, when it comes to sales, I feel like you're a natural born sales guy. I feel like it's in your DNA. And for me, I feel like I had to do a lot of inner work, as we both did, in order to get to where we are. But sales is something that has continued to impact my life. And not just sales, communication, influence, persuasion, which you can all umbrella under sales, but obviously they're different arts. Why are sales important? How can someone get better at sales? And why is it necessary coming up in today's world to get good at communication and sales?
Because everything you're doing is a sale. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's very true. For instance, I have to, even though I'm sexy, I still have to convince my wife to have sex with me. So
Facts.
can I be real? Can I be real in the podcast? Is
Please.
that okay? You have to still convince your wife to, make you food. Like sometimes she doesn't want to do that, right? You still have to sell her on that task. You have to still sell your wife on the vision of that you're going to be the man that's going to get her to where she wants to be. You have to sell her on the vision. I think people should need to get into sales, understand that everything's a sale, communication, negotiation. Yeah, dude, because everything's a sale, dude. Like when you go to a restaurant and, the manager, or the waiter, messes up, you got to be able to know how to negotiate through that. I think the main thing, the first step, if people are listening to this now and they've made it this far in the show, which I hope you have, is stay calm. When you're at a restaurant, you're at a hotel, stay calm. Like when you're trying to get something, stay calm. Most people's pitch gets higher and higher and higher, which is really funny. I've got a lot of like those funny like TikToks and reels that I do like a toe touch and I imitate somebody on the first week, first month, or like a first year sales rep on a door and talk about how high their pitch is on the door. Hi, my name's Mikey. Would you like solar today? Right? You're pre-qualified because your roof is south facing. Yeah. So stay calm in those sales. And it's fun because dude, my wife, she's starting to see it a lot more now, but like I'll get upgrades to everything we go to. I mean, almost everything we go to, I'll get upgrades to because I'm not afraid of failing. I don't really care. It's like, oh, well, I just don't want to I don't want to sleep in that bed in that hotel room thinking I could have asked for the upgraded room. And one of my famous lines in a hotel, if you guys want to do this, is, seems like you guys are real busy. No, we're actually not. It's my favorite response. Oh, really? How long you been here for now? And then boom, 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 whatever. No, cool. Last name's Lucas. I'm going to be your worst, I'm going to be your hardest, guest today. I'm going to ask you for an upgrade, or whatever. And that's pretty much what I go with. And I've actually filmed a few of them. But yeah, that's, if you ask in a hotel room or on the plane, we're looking pretty full, aren't we? You guys are really busy. No, not at all. Or whatever. So, sales, I think one of the main things, Stephen, comes down to is repetition, and just doing it. Like guys in door-to-door sales or in real estate, they're just not respecting the art. And that's very frustrating. They're not respecting the art. And it's like so disrespectful for everyone that's paved this path for them getting into solar in the last couple of years. So disrespectful. I mean, I've read Pitch Anything 72 times, studied that thing and taught it. There's Never Split the Difference, read over 40 times, studied it and taught it. Way of the Wolf, Exactly What to Say. I mean, tons of psychology of selling, tons of these sales books I have studied. And I don't know what to tell you. It's like, you're not great at communicating, negotiating because you don't study it. You've read it once and then you put the book down. No wonder why you suck. Can't get deals, can't get referrals. I built a 52.6% referral business, Stephen. You also don't do that with commission breath. I'm okay, and I've also paid people to go solar. But I also have legs of referrals that are like, 10, 20, 30 people deep.
It's powerful stuff, man. Sales, get good at it. Repetition. Mikey, I got a couple more questions to you to piggyback off the solar industry because I'm very curious about this. So me and you both started around the same time. I think you maybe started, about a year. I started in 2015. I think you started in 2014.
Yeah, solar in 14.
When we both started, commissions were a lot less than they are right now.
155 a kilowatt.
155 a kilowatt for you guys solar out there, as you know, right? I started, it was about $200 a kilowatt, 225 maybe if you're a manager. As the industry has grown, commissions have obviously grown as well. People out there can go make $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a kilowatt. My question for you, Mikey, even though commission pay scales have increased 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes X in the last 5, 6, 7 years, why do you think a lot of solar people are still making the same income?
Well, they don't have an exit strategy. And that's why they pay me 6 figures a year to teach them that. They don't have an exit strategy, Steven. They're okay with making 20 grand a month. I'm like, I spent 20 grand last week on my Amex. Like, they don't have, again, clarity, going back to the clarity thing, Steven, they don't have clarity on where they're going to go. So everyone thinks, and not only that, it goes back to dealers, EPCs, managers, they're afraid to lose their guys and girls because of lack of sales. So at Solar City, Tesla, it was 7 minimum. So if you weren't hitting 7, in our office, we were the number one, number 2 office, depending on the month. We were 8 minimum. So if you didn't hit 8, you were put on a PIP, performance improvement plan. So our office, I think, did an average of 11 deals a month. And so we were hitters, man. And, I think guys are selling less because it's hard. It's harder, probably. It's definitely a little bit harder. And no, I don't think commissions really has much to do with it. I think that's something to do with it, but I think it's just a little bit harder. And then again, back to leadership. A leader is not pointing in the direction of this is what financial freedom is actually going to get to you. They don't have an exit strategy, which is why I made a whole business on that. Why I teach Golden Door guys how to go from 130 to 260 deals a year, how to go from $500,000 a year to $1 million a year, how to go from 10%, 20% referral to 50, 60% referral. And it's fairly easy. It's just minor tweaks.
Love that, man. Mikey, you've been awesome, bro. But my last question for you as we're wrapping up. If Mikey Lucas today in, June? No, May of 2023 had to start all over, what would that look like?
Love that question. If I lost everything and had to start all over, it's kind of a broad question, but I'm going to get specific with it. I would go and work for a Sunder company like you, with you. I would go where
checks in the mail.
I would go where I know I can get paid. I would go become a setter, not a closer, but a setter. If I had bills right away, I would go become a setter right away. I would buy, if I could, or borrow a Razor scooter and scooter door to door, become a setter and set as many deals for Daniel Hidobas as I possibly could.
Shout out Daniel.
I'm not kidding. I'm being actually serious. No, I'm not kidding. Like, I tell people that all the time. Like, hey, what I'm going to teach you is if I had to start all over and start all over again, start fresh, this is the advice I'm going to give you. It's a powerful statement. And if I had to start all over, that's what I would do. I would start there, and then, dude, get right back on my feet, start, getting back into groups, proximity, start investing again, start trying to automate the investment process, taking 10% out, putting it to the church, 10% out, 20% out, putting it to investments, and start all over again, start from the basics. But again, I'm already doing that now. So I'm going to knock doors right now. I'll go knock at the neighbor's door right now.
Let's get
as long as Daniel will close it.
Hey, they already signed up, so you're good.
Let's go. The 2 doors down. They're a renter, I bet.
Awesome answer, man. I love asking people that question because I'm a true believer that the real value, the real currency is the mind. It's the attitude. It's the perspective, the life experience. So we know all the time that there's multimillionaires, billionaires sometimes that have to go bankrupt. They have to start all over, and they typically end up getting it right back. Because I think a wise man once said, if all the money in the world was distributed equally to everyone on the planet, that within 5 years, the successful people would all find that money back.
Yep.
And I believe that. I believe that money is created through the mind. Success, abundance, joy, fulfillment is all created through perspective and mindset and attitude. And once you have that, it doesn't matter the vehicle. It doesn't matter the circumstances. You can get it back because the value that you add to the marketplace is equivalent to that.
100%. Go be a setter.
Let's go. Shout out Daniel, baby. Mikey, you've been awesome, bro. We're coming up on that hour mark. Where can the audience find you if they want to absorb some of your content and potentially even do some business with you?
Dude, I've got tons of resources. MikeyLucas.com. Tons of free resources there for sales guys, for entrepreneurs wanting to get into personal finance. I've got tons of free resources there. Guys can go download everything there. My fund is AmericanEnergyFund.io. If they want to learn about investing into what billionaires invest into, AmericanEnergyFund.io. I'm all over Instagram, TikTok. It's Mikey Lucas, MikeyLucas. Be careful. There's like 100 Mikeys out there. So the one with the blue check is me on Instagram. I will never ask you for Bitcoin money. I don't do that. Yeah, I have a lot invested in Bitcoin, but I don't ever ask for Bitcoin money.
Awesome. Definitely go check out Mikey Lucas. Again, do not give him Bitcoin if he asks for it. And bro, you've been awesome. Appreciate you having on the show.
Appreciate it, brother.
See you guys next time.